Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ethan Fisher again. I'm a keynote speaker, motivational speaker. I work with a lot of student athletes across the country. I was a college coach for a small time. And I've been involved with basketball and football and track and golf and soccer ever since I was a middle school kid. Basketball was my number one sport, and I loved it so much that I had the ability and was very fortunate to be able to play college basketball. But during that time of being a student athlete, I started to deal with these mental health issues. I started to deal with depression all the way back in 8th grade. And very few at the time knew how bad my depression was. In 8th grade, I actually took a knife to my wrist and threatened to take my own life. And my parents stopped me. But we didn't know how to handle it. Mental health and depression, anxiety, this has all been stigmatized over the course of a lifetime, that people don't want to show weakness. And being an athlete, I wanted to hide it even more. So I used my sports as a coping mechanism. And I ended up using all my athletic ability to hide my depression, hide my social anxiety, hide all these insecurities that I had about myself. But I also started to use drugs. I also used alcohol to cover these insecurities, to mask my depression. From the age of 8th grade until I was 23 years old, suicide was a constant thought. Every single day I thought about it. I didn't want to live. I didn't want to have to deal with these pressures. The pressures of being a student athlete and succeeding, and the people that you care about believing in you. I didn't know how to handle it. And so I turned to drugs and alcohol, and that competitive nature of mine ended up leading me down horrible paths. Right now we are dealing with a time of people in isolation and a pandemic. Mental health is a top priority. After I went through my experience in being a college athlete who ended up hurting and killing somebody, to going to prison and spending 6-7 weeks in a 23-hour lockdown cell and 3 years total in prison, I learned how to deal and manage my mental health. I learned how to deal with these times of being isolated. And the key point I want to bring out to everybody today is during this time and during this once-in-a-lifetime pandemic that we're going through in isolation, keep yourself busy. Find things to do. Read, write, do workouts. We all have access to technology now that I didn't have access to when I was locked up. So now you have the ability to do workouts online. You have the ability to talk to your friends and your family. You can FaceTime. You can post videos. Find stuff to do. Occupy your mind. There are multiple ways to take interesting classes on social media use or networking or marketing. Reading books. Yes, Netflix is an amazing opportunity to use your time. But watch documentaries, watch history, do things that are going to challenge you. Because the biggest thing with dealing with isolation is if you do not keep your mind busy and occupied, that's when depression, that's when anxiety, that's when that self-loathing starts to show its ugly face. So during this time of isolation, find things to keep your mind productive. Read, write, play video games, talk to people. I can't reiterate that enough. This is a time to challenge yourself, to look deep inside, find out who you really are. Because when you're done with college sports, You've got to enter the real world. And right now is a time that you can learn traits and skills to better yourself when you get out of this situation. Keep your mind occupied. And until the next post, thank you for your time, and I hope everybody's being safe and healthy during this once in a lifetime issue that we're going through.